And welcome back to my channel. Unless you're new here, then just welcome. My name is Rusty, and this is my channel where I talk about my favorite movies, mostly horror, and my favorite music, mostly metal. And first thing out of the way, I'm very sick. It is freezing in Florida, and it has been for a week, and we don't like that down here. And that has made me like really ill, really sick, and antibiotics, but I miss talking to you guys, and I've been really excited about doing my Dead Festival to get to watch all these movies again and talk about them. And so despite being very sick, I'm going to try this anyway. Heads up, when I am very angry or sick or otherwise unable to control my accent, sometimes it might not be able to tell what the fuck I'm saying, because I really start talking about, I really start talking like a yob on the estate in Blackpool. So, if I sound a little more British than usual, that's what the problem is. So I'm very excited for day one of the Dead Festival, and we are going to start. I'm going to do 9 movies out of the like not the Evil Dead, Night of the Living Dead, just that world. Sequels, reboots, side movies, kind of sort of connected, but not really. Just the whole thing. And I just picked like 9 of them that I love, and we're going to do that. And so I tried to do them in a specific order. So I'm going to try to do these 3 if I can, So, we are going to start with Night of the Living Dead. Night of the Living Dead. Yes. This is... Who is this? Or is it anybody? I don't guess it's anybody. It's probably just a regular studio. But this is the Blu-ray for Night of the Living Dead. The Night of the Living Dead was released in 1990. It was directed by Tom Savini. It was written by George A. Romero and John Russo. And it stars Candyman, Tony Todd, and it stars one of my favorite actresses, and that's Patricia Tallman and Tom Towles. Now, I love Patricia Tallman. First of all, she's a natural redhead, so, gingers stick together. Second of all, I am a complete and total Star Trek. I'm a total Trekkie. I'm a complete Star Trek nut. I've got everything sitting over there. Real Star Trek. Not none of that Discovery shit. Real Star Trek. So, Tony Todd played Worf's brother on Star Trek The Next Generation, so that's really cool. I am also a gigantic, huge Babylon 5 fan, which I have all the Babylon 5 seasons right down there. I can see the pretty little things looking at me. And Patricia Tallman, who plays Barbara, she's the star of this, is Lita from Babylon 5, one of my favorite characters from Babylon 5. So, this was amazing to get to watch again. And so, yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about my feelings about this movie. And yeah, so like the original, which, I'm going to make people very angry. I'm not a huge fan of the original. I recognize its place in history, and it is a game changer, and it is wonderful. I'm just talking about me personally, my aesthetics. I am, it's good. I don't own it. I probably won't. Because this is it to me. Like I said, I don't hate it, and I'm not trashing it. It's just not my thing. I don't really care about it. It's one of those movies that, like I did in my community, my polls, it's one of the movies that was listed, that if I could vote, I would have voted for that one. The mob says you have to like these certain horror movies or you're not a horror hound. I disagree. There are movies that everybody thinks are, Citizen Kane. And I'm like, yeah, it's all right, but it's not my thing. And Night of the Living Dead is mine. You're supposed to love it. You're supposed to idolize it. But I just recognize its place, and it's just not a favorite movie of mine to watch. However, this shit is the shit. This is it. So, like I said, it was directed by Tom Savini, and it stars Tony Todd, who I love, and it stars Patricia Tallman, who is fantastic. So, the movie opens up just like the original. The movie opens up. You've got Barbara and her brother Johnny, who are going to visit her mother's grave. There's lots of really interesting little banter between them. It's kind of funny. And the stuff that they say. And then you have the infamous line, oh, Barbara, they're out to get you, or they're coming to get you, and stuff like that. He is a total dipshit, to be quite honest. But, so both of them didn't really like her that much. She liked her more, and they argue a little bit. And he picks on her and stuff like that. Then this weird old man comes up. Obviously, he's the Undertaker, or he's the one that was driving the hearse. You know what I mean? And he keeps saying, "I'm sorry." And I always thought that there should be a little backstory behind that, because the old man, the old coffin dodger. Which is what we call old people. The coffin dodger, he comes up and he's like, I'm sorry. Like he did something. I mean, I've always wondered, why was he apologizing? And so I thought that was a little strange. But then you get the first jump scare of the movie, that dude attacks them. And that autopsy guy freaks me out, because they're the guys walking up in the full suit, and it turns around and it's he's got a really hairy butt. I'm saying, I'm sorry, I just noticed stuff like that. But I was like, oh, hairy butt, because it's suits all cut down. Do they really do that when they bury people? Say, here it comes. We're going to go all over the place. So, he ends up killing Johnny, which was crack on the gravestone. It was pretty fucked up. So his part isn't much in this movie. Then she takes off. She gets back to the car. Oops, no keys. She does manage to get away, though, by letting the brake off, which makes her roll down the hill. She hits a tree. She runs. She finds the farmhouse. Right. The cabin in the woods. So she finds the farmhouse. And she goes in there, and she's totally freaked out, and she gets attacked by some Zeds. And that's when Tony Todd, Kenneth, isn't it Kenneth? Yeah, it's Kenneth. He drives up in the truck and jumps out, thinks that she lives there. They have this dialogue. He gets in there, they're attacked, and they manage to calm down, because she's really hysterical at first. And that's actually not a way I'm used to seeing Patricia Tallman, because Lita was a complete bitch, on Star Trek. She was really strong, really tough. She was compliant at first, just like in this movie. But then she became one of the badasses of Babylon 5, which is the same thing that happens here. So her and him, get calmed down. Ben, not Ken, Ben. So her and Ben get calmed down and start going, what do we do? And they're all freaked out by this situation, which is understandable, yeah. So after they mess around a little bit and they start well, maybe we should stay here till we figure out what's going on. They start maybe we should, put in a siege here, right? So it's at that point that they find these people in the basement. These people come up, scare the shit out of them. You have Tom and Harry. Oh, I hated that motherfucker. But you have Tom and Judy and Helen and Sarah. Now, I knew it from the beginning, because they're I thought the daughter was injured, Susan. I thought the daughter was injured. And I kept going, and people are probably going, why were you wondering about this? Anything? Haven't you ever seen the first movie? I mean, come on. It's been a long time, all right? That's why I said I'm glad to get to watch all these movies again. So I'm like, that little girl's infected. I know she is. She's fucking infected. I can just feel it. But, you know, I hated Harry from like the very, very beginning. So they sit around and they all like get calmed down and they start like sieging up the place. And then here we have her seeing the Zeds coming. Barbara's like seeing the Zeds coming. And I like the dialogue between all these people, you know. And I really like Tom, even though he turns out to be quite the idiot, doesn't he? But I really like Tom, and Judy was pretty cool. Helen was cool too. Harry is the only really character in this movie, besides the Zeds, of course. But Harry is like the only character in this particular movie that I despise, because I'm like, you know, whenever some kind of apocalypse that's going on, you don't really understand the freedom it gives you. I mean, what? You're going to call who? 911? It kind of makes me, well, it kind of gives people the freedom, right? Like to not be law and orderly when someone starts irritating them. Because I'm telling you what, I think I'd have capped him. You know what I'm saying? Just after about 5 minutes, I'd have been like, look, it's not like the state cops are going to come and try to do anything about this, and you just don't, you know, pew, and just go ahead and we're going to solve his problem right off the bat. So that's kind of the way I feel about him. But anyway, it's right about here that Barbara makes one of the biggest observations. Me and my brother, we were talking about it because we were talking about this little side road here, and that is there's people that seem to fall on this side of the fence or that side of the fence because there's a fence. That fence is traditional. I call them Frankensteins, not because Frankenstein was completely mindless, but just that whole affectation that Frankenstein gave. This mindless, ooh, thing, you know. No, I almost said the R word. Don't want to get canceled. But this mindless, slow-moving creepers, you know, zombies. And then you have the fast, rage, aggressive zombies. And I am clearly on that side of the fence. My Zeds are fast, rage-filled, aggressive, and scary. That's what scares me. The creeper zombies don't really, so I'm not really on that side of the fence. Not that I don't love them. This is a flawless movie. So I can love slow-moving Zeds, the creeper Zeds, the traditional zombies. I can love them as long as, you know, you don't go silly with the makeup, which will be coming up in a further movie. But as long as you don't go silly with the makeup and as long as you do it correctly, I think that traditional zombies, the slow-moving creepers, can be very scary. Like my brother said, it's not the individual zombies, it's the horde, you know? So I think that Barbara makes a fantastic point when she realizes that and she starts telling Ben, she's like, why don't we just go? Look how slow they are. We can just walk right by them. They can barely move. You know, it's just like creeper. And I think that she made the perfect point. I'm glad Tom Savini put that and the writers put that in this movie because lots of people do ask that question. It's like, well, are they really that scary since you can like foxtrot and outrun them. I mean, you don't even have to, you barely have to canter to outrun a traditional Zed. So my brother agrees. He kind of's like, they're not as scary to him as the 28 days later kind of zombies. And I agree with that. So I'm kind of on the rage, aggressive, fast zombie side. let me know which side you're on, or if you're in the middle, kind of like me, and can love both but prefer one. I can love both if it's done right, but I'm going to be a lot more critical on the slow-moving zombies as far as causing me anxiety and scare, as opposed to stuff like 28 Days Later, because those zombies are like, oh my God. Dawn of the Dead too, So as they continue trying to figure out what to do, you get more and more, they found them hiding in the cellar. Tom tells a little bit of the backstory of this house. It was his uncle's house. That's his cousin that's up there with the boom boom, sitting on the floor. All of a sudden his uncle attacked his cousin, when him and his girlfriend, or whatever she is, Judy, when they arrived, and it all went apeshit from there. That guy and, Harry and Helen had stopped with their injured daughter to use the phone, to use the telly, and then they went down there and hid in the cellar. And there you go. You kind of have the backstory. And that was pretty enjoyable to hear all of that. So he tells the story, and they want to siege the house, so they agree. Harry, of course, anyway. Harry wants to stay down there in the cellar, but Tom and Judy agree, so Tom and Judy help them. And they do have really cool ideas, taking all the doors off from the bedrooms and stuff and putting them over the windows. Because these zombies really are only a threat in numbers. The horde is the problem with these zombies, not the individual one. Unless, of course, you're stupid enough to let them get a hold of you. So the Zeds are keep trying to get in. Tom and Judy help them. Helen, it's at this point that Helen kind of admits that Susan was bitten on the arm by one of these Zeds, and I'm like, see? She's down there infected. You know what I mean? They do see a news report. Harry sees the news report, and it talks about how this must be a virus of some kind, but they don't know where it came from, and that the dead are reviving from this virus. That's when Tom tells them about the gas pump. They need gas pump for Ben's truck. So they've been kind of looking for the keys. They try to find the keys. They go out, try to do it. Who is it? Tom and Judy and Ben. They try to go to get the truck to the gas pump, because they think they have found the keys. They did not. And when they got there, they had that awful scene where Ben got knocked off the truck. They got up to the gas pump. He can't get the gas unlocked, so he's going to shoot it. And, and the first thing that I thought was, dude, firearms, gas pumps, not a good combination. And sure enough, that idiot, why are the cute ones always so stupid? Isn't that what they say about dumb blondes? But he blows himself and Judy to kingdom come. And it's well, there's always got to be an idiot in the bunch. So you're well, that plan didn't work, did it? So Ben, he starts trying to get back to the car now. And of course, Barbara has become a badass. I don't think Patricia Tallman can play anything but a badass. So she's been popping them off left and right, trying to help Ben get back to the house. They get back to the house right about as time as that Ben gets back to the house. Sarah has turned, and she eats her mom. And I'm yeah, we saw that coming, didn't we? So she kills Helen. Ben and Harry finally lose it, and because they hate each other. I'm completely on Ben's side. And they have that little shootout, and Harry goes up and hides in the attic, and Ben goes into the cellar while Barbara is look, I am gonna skip on down the road, okay? I'm gonna skip on down the road now. I'm not scared. And you can see the scenes where she walks out of the house, and you could basically dance with these Zeds. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, no, you can't have me. Oh, try a little right one. No, no, no. You know, it's like, let's do the time warp in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, you know. Just a step to the left and a step to the right. And like the one with the baby doll that come up to her, you know, because she's like having a little breakdown because she's seeing them eat, you know, Tom and Judy. They're like dragging Tom's like freshly cooked. I mean, talk about barbecue, right? So they were having a little barbecue meal and she was like really losing it. And you see that one with the baby doll that just walks up to her and Barbara just basically just like stands that close to her face and is like, yeah, whatever. I know, but I'm a little freaking out. Before I shoot you, I'm just going to cry a little bit. Bam. You know, and I'm like, yeah, that reminds me of, you know, as I told my brother, I was like, you need to go and watch It Stains the Sands Red, one of the most unique zombie movies that you'll ever see. And I was like, you know, he is a slow mover. He's a creeper, the mindless Frankenstein creeper zombie. He's a traditional zombie. And I'm like, but that movie really highlights one of the threats of that kind of zombie. You know, because like I said, a lot of people are not very intimidated and are not very threatened by the slow-moving traditional creeper zombies. And I'm like, well, It Stains the Sands Red is a really good example of exactly how threatening they can be. Because a Zed doesn't need to sleep, and a Zed doesn't get tired, and a Zed doesn't need water, and a Zed doesn't need food. Well, it needs food, but it actually doesn't really need food. It's just some kind of instinct, which is also something they say in this movie. You know. But the girl being chased by that zombie who stays basically 30, 40 yards behind her the entire length of the movie shows you exactly what kind of threat those zombies can be because they are relentless. She's got to sleep. She's also coming down off cocaine. But she's got to sleep. She's got to drink. And she's going to get tired. And the Zed is not. So as non-intimidating as these creeper zombies can be, they do have that advantage. And that is that you got to sleep sometime. You are eventually going to go down. And when you go down, they're going to eat your guts. You know. So I think that, you know, I was telling him about that. He said he would go watch it because that sounded really cool. And it is. It's one of the best little zombie movies you've never heard of. But, so after she leaves, she ends up running into these dipshit rednecks. You know, they're like bounty hunters kind of thing, you know, zombie assassins. Because, you know, those kind of people in any apocalypse, those kind of people are always going to come out to woodwork and go, yeehaw. We can finally just do what we want. So she runs into them. They take her back to this camp. And it's at that point where we look around and we see all these people, the survivors, and they're like torturing them, torturing Zeds, hanging from the trees, having fun with them and stuff. And that's when she makes that, you know, that really memorable line, which is they're us, we're them, and they're us. Which means that, well, it's kind of self-explanatory. It just means that these monsters, the humans that have not been infected, are being just as monstrous towards the Zeds as the Zeds are. So that's what she means by they're us, we're them, and they're us. She takes the little group back to the house to try rescue Ben, of course. And she gets there and he comes out the cellar and I'm like, oh fuck. How did he get it? How did he get infected? Did Helen get him? I have to go back and watch it again because I was kind of a little shocked. I mean, the door was closed. I know that he killed Helen down there. But I don't know. Obviously, she got a little nip on him or something because he was turned. And that was like sad, you know. They killed him. And then all of a sudden she was about to walk out and that fucking Harry, he like comes around the corner. Little jump scare, scares you. and he's like, hey, oh my gosh, you came back. I can't believe you came back. And she shot him. Even though he wasn't turned, he wasn't infected, she shot him right in the forehead. And I'm like totally down with that. Yeah, I'm totally cool with that. Because he deserved it. Ben did not. Neither did Tom and Judy. No, most of these people didn't deserve it. But, yeah, I loved that part. I loved when she shot Harry, and then the guys looked at her. And what's funny is, they weren't looking, so they didn't know. And when they turned around the corner and looked at her, and she was just like, there's another for the fire, to throw on the fire. So they didn't see that she had just killed an uninfected person. So she got away with it. And then the movie ends, and that was really cool. So I absolutely love this movie. And this is one of my highest of these 9s, is that I think this is fantastic. They did the makeup really well on this movie, unlike one of the upcoming movies, which I still love it, but I have a lot more issues with that movie than I do with these first 2 that I'm doing. I love the makeup in this movie. I think the gore is appropriate and it's not ridiculous, over the top. I think it's the right amount. I think it's done the correct way. The traditional zombie makeup is very, very good in this movie. It does make you kind of jumpy. I love the atmosphere in this movie, and I love Patricia Tallman and Tony Todd's performance in this movie. And I love Tom's performance in this movie. And Judy was good too, and so was Helen. And if Harry's point as an actor was to make you hate him, he did a really good job. So this is definitely at the top of these 9 films for me. I absolutely love the remake. I love this reimagining, reimaging, reboot, whatever you want to call it. I absolutely adore this movie, and it is one of my favorite of these 9. So, yeah, that was Night of the Living Dead, as we start my Dead Festival, where I get to go and go through all of these that I picked out. And I am doing them kind of, sort of, in order of the storyline and in order of release, So, of course, I wanted to start with Night of the Living Dead, but I don't have the original. I don't want the original, really. And I really love this one. This is the real one to me. I know. But we all have our opinions, and it's okay. You can have yours. I totally respect it. But Night of the Living Dead, 1990, is an absolutely fantastic 10 out of 10 to me. I really, really, really love this one in this series. And so, yeah, we will be back with my second one. And talk about it as much as I can through this illness. Say that's how much I love you guys, man. And my brother, however, would probably say, no, that's how much you love running your mouth, that you just can't, you've got to do this. And I'm like, I know. It's like, I've been sitting around, I've been wanting to do this ever since I filled in my holes and I got the rest of these 9 that I wanted in my collection. And then I get, then we get this, Florida turns into Antarctica. And it makes me sick, and I'm like, this is really pissing me off. I'm going to try to do it anyway. And so that's exactly what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Night of the Living Dead, Tony Todd, Patricia Tallman, absolutely fantastic. I love this movie. Tell me what you think about it. Tell me which side of the zombie fence you're on. Do you like rage zombies, angry, fast, aggressive? Do you like traditional zombies? Are you in the middle and can go either way? I enjoy both types if it's done right, but I definitely have a big bias towards fast, aggressive, rage zombies. Those are the ones that scare me, so I'm of course going to love them better. Always remember and never forget, you're a very special person, and don't ever let anyone tell you different, and I will see you in the next movie. Coming here. It's winter. I love this shirt. And it's very appropriate for the Dead Festival, in my opinion. And I will see you in the next thing I do. Bye-bye. See you in a minute.